I tried to avoid this so long, but it's about to be one of them, so buckle up.
Order in the court.
Now, as a disclaimer, let me first and foremost say that this is not to disrespect any of the performers that are in Ring of Honor. This is really just to figure out what's going on with the product, and hopefully this video will be informative for people that are interested in Ring of Honor and possibly be able to help the product of Ring of Honor get better. Alright, welcome back to the Kingz Core Wrestling Order. I'm King Leo Picasso. We're gonna get right to it. We made it to episode 4, and I was hoping that I wouldn't have to be here this soon, but it seems like we hit that corner. Right now, we're about to discuss the state of affairs over at Ring of Honor. Now, as someone who enjoys Ring of Honor and has been brought into, you know, the whole Ring of Honor thing by my streammate teammate, I gotta say, Ring of Honor is one of the best things that I love about AEW. I love watching the smaller shows because you get to see talent that isn't on the normal roster, that's not promoted as much, and actually they have great talent down there. Some people that have been down there for years, some that have held it down, some that are new, some people that aren't even getting shown on the main roster, and we've been asking for a lot of these people to hit the main roster and they haven't moved up. Case in point, Athena. We've been waiting for Athena to hit the main roster forever. Now, I don't know if that's a her decision or if they just don't have a place for her on the main roster. We know she's going to cook as soon as she go up there, but let's not even start there with Athena. Let's start somewhere totally different. First of all, what are we paying for? Now, you know, when I first decided to go ahead and get my subscription to Honor Up, as I say, you know what I mean? When I decided to Honor Up and get the subscription, it was told to me that it might be against my best interest to do so. Like, hey, you may want to wait because you never know how good it's going to be. At that point, they were on a good roll with storylines. Everything was flowing from week to week. Everything was absolutely fantastic, right? And then there was a drop-off. But at that point, even with the drop off right at the last episode before it dropped off, I said, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get my subscription. Then the drop off happened. Once that drop off came, I was like, this is what we getting. And then they went into this lull where they started like showing, like, you never knew how long the episode was going to be. Episodes, you know, coming in at 45 minutes, coming in under an hour, 50 minutes. It started to get really weird. And I was just like, what is this? This wasn't what we were doing. We were getting 2 hours of wrestling right before this. So it kind of like had me in this position where I'm like, damn, what the fuck did I just spend my money on? But I stuck with it because, you know what, I still like the wrestlers that were down there. Now, so the timing just kept changing, and then at some point Tony Khan said that, hey, he's going to make a better concerted effort to make Ring of Honor better. So we took him at his word, and he went to Arlington, Texas. They go to Arlington and they have this great run of maybe 5 weeks or so, 5 to 6 weeks or something like that. I forget how long the residency they had there was. They were recording Dynamite, they were recording Collision, they were recording Ring of Honor there. So at that point, you kind of, everything was cohesive. Every week you would get so many different Ring of Honors, and I don't know how long they stretched it out over that period of time, pause, and you got great wrestling, the story stuck, everything kind of made sense around that time. And after that residency was over, things started to fall apart and we were back to square one again right after they just had this great run on Ring of Honor. So I honestly don't know what happened after that. Throughout the duration of me watching, you used to be able to look on the app and see how long the episode was going to be, and it would show like an hour and 50 minutes or so. At some point, they started to show these classic matches right in the middle of the product. It was around the time that Danielson was getting called out by Nigel McGuinness, and then things started changing. We were like, what the fuck is this, and why do they have a classic match right here? So that was the first change that we saw, and we were like, okay, this is a why are they showing classic matches in the middle of the product? And then that match was like 40 minutes, right? 40 minutes of that hour and 50 minutes was a classic match that nobody asked for. So now go on the next week, we're like, okay, well, maybe they won't show another classic match, and we get another classic match the next week, and we're like, all right, I know they're not going to do this annually. So then a pay-per-view was coming up, and then Tony Khan did a media call like he usually does, and then he said that the classic matches were going to become a part of the main thing that they were going to do when it comes to Ring of Honor, as they made a step forward to keep Ring of Honor rolling. Now, who the fuck asked for classic matches in the middle of a live product when you're showing extra talent? You have a whole roster full of talent that don't even get to get on the show, but you got time to show a classic match that's already something that we pay for inside of the subscription. Nobody's asking you to give us something that we've already fucking paid for. That 40-minute time allotment, you can have at least another like 4 matches or so if you guys are speeding through some of these matches. Some of these matches are so fast when they come on and go off. Even some matches that should go further. There's plenty of people you can name that actually can use the time in the ring, but they're getting allotted to classic matches, something that's already on the app, but it's like, okay, well, I like this match, so I want you to see it. If that's the case, put it as a highlight on the app and give us the option to watch it, not something that's been forced onto us during a live wrestling show. That makes no sense at all, especially when it's already there for us and we can watch it when we feel like it, but it's being forced upon us in the middle of a show because you feel like it. Now, obviously, it's your company. You could do what you want to do with it, but it's our money and it's our dollars, and there are people that are subscribing to Ring of Honor like us that actually do watch-alongs, that actually care about the Ring of Honor product, you know what I mean, that are actually watching it and reporting on it, putting it on our websites, on NoDirtSheets.com, unshameless plug. But the people like us that are reporting on the wins and losses, that are putting it on our websites, that are actually supporting the product, doing watch-alongs for Ring of Honor, there's not that many people that are doing watch-alongs for Ring of Honor. So what I'm going to say right now is, look, we don't like the classic matches. I'm sure those subscriptions would jump and we would want to help promote it to more people and have them watch, but a lot of people that listen to us, they don't even have it. Either they're watching from parts unknown or they're not watching it at all and they're just there to watch us because we're reporting on it, and that's how they get their updates. But that's how it's working. Y'all gonna have to get rid of these classic matches. It's not working in the middle of the matches for us when you have people like Iron Savages, when you got Bishop, Khan, and Toa Leone, the Gates of Agony, when you have STP, who started a story last year that didn't get to finish, when you have so many different people that are on the roster, and you have more people that actually can use the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why we have to watch classic matches when there's plenty of people on the roster. Trish Adora doesn't get enough time. I can go on and on about the different people that aren't getting enough time in Ring of Honor, but that's something that needs to be fixed. Classic matches, drop it from the service. As someone that watches the product, I don't want to see that in the middle of a live wrestling show. I'm sorry. That's just me. What prompted this whole crash out right now, I gotta tell you right now, it was the ending to the last episode of Ring of Honor. How are you going to end the last episode with a promo versus a main event? Now, all week, of course, we've been seeing it throughout wrestling. Every show ended with a promo, but after the main event, like, you don't need a promo. And you decided to let Jericho book himself over STP and Gates of Agony, which was a great finish to the episode. They're in the ring with the Rock and Roll Express, which I'm not gonna hate on the Rock and Roll Express. They're legends, but you got the learning tree running from the Rock and Roll Express after they were just tied up by Moxley and the Death Riders. That you absolutely killed the hype that ended the whole night. When the fans finally got into a match, they had a great match. It was a great finish to the show, and then it was just all downhill, and then you see why the product is suffering down there. First of all, Jericho's not there every week. He's not even helping the product as champion. He's not doing anything that's moving it forward or moving it up. I don't know where you guys got this idea that Chris Jericho as champion in Ring of Honor would actually help. Keep him on the main roster somewhere else and build somebody that's there. There's plenty of people down there. The person that should be holding that championship, who was supposed to hold that championship when we never got the Mark Briscoe versus Shane Taylor match, should have been Shane Taylor. He cut probably the best promos last year, and you got a laundry list of other wrestlers down there that deserve a shot at that title. We're not even going to get on the fact that Dustin Rhodes has the tag team titles that he barely shows up with. More time out of not, you see him on the main roster. That takes nothing away from Dustin. I'm a Dustin Rhodes fan. Y'all know that I'm already a fan of the Rhodes family. I love Cody as well, but it does no service if the tag team championships aren't being defended there, and there's plenty of tag teams that can use it and be shown on there. On top of it, we ain't seen Devon Erickson. I don't know, it's been a couple of months now since they've won the trios titles, and they haven't been on the roster or on the show either. So y'all have to get it together with the titles that belong down there, and I'm gonna keep it real. The women down there are holding it down. down. So this goes back a year to when Athena said that she is the ROH champion and that is her show, and she told that to Eddie Kingston when Eddie Kingston wasn't showing up on Ring of Honor either. Athena and Red Velvet and Lexi have been holding down Ring of Honor, and that's just keeping it a buck, and Queen Aminata. So I don't know how you guys plan on fixing this little conundrum that you've gotten yourself in. If you guys need to do another hard reset on Ring of Honor and bring it back to normal and change some of this stuff. I could be one of these people that's out here watching it from parts unknown too, but I'm invested in it. We're invested. This is an extra thing in wrestling that we're paying for. This is your subscription is $10 a month for us just to watch Ring of Honor, because you didn't take the TV deal over with the CW, which is Warner Brothers. Am I right? It's WB. I don't understand why you didn't take it, and then now the roster stuffers when you couldn't have gotten a payday for it, but you wanted to be on Max, and they didn't take Ring of Honor on Max. We're still stuck paying the $9.99 over on Honor Club. Maybe y'all feel that that's just enough money to pay for that show, and maybe that's why you treat it like a stepchild instead of treating it like it is and the prestige that it has and that it holds with it. And me being a new Ring of Honor person, I do go back and watch some of this stuff that's recommended to me so I can understand, and I see how prestigious it is, and that goes back to the classic matches that are shown. I don't need you guys to show me the classic matches when my chat and there's other people and me just scrolling through getting to watch some of these classic matches and going back and watch CM Punk, going back and watch Anderson matches, going back and watching the Nigel McGuinness matches, going back. I already know it's there, so I don't need you guys pointing it out to me that it's there. Now, my next issue is the use of the talent. You guys will have them win on the Ring of Honor roster, and then when Rampage was there or Collision, either or, you guys would take them up to Rampage just to lose the next night, or you'll wait for them to be on Collision to lose. Build them up for one night like Queen Aminata, and then have her go on Collision to lose to, I don't know, or Serena Deeb or anybody of your choosing. Like, why would you use people that you're building in Ring of Honor just to have them go back down to Ring of Honor and not look as strong as they were the week before and then carry on? You guys have to make a change in the way that you choose to use talent and bring them up. If you're going to bring them up onto the AEW main roster, use them wisely. Let them keep getting built. Don't bring them up there to lose. Nobody is paying to see that. I promise you they're not. A lot of people don't pay to watch Ring of Honor, so maybe that's why you think you can get away with it. But us that do watch Ring of Honor and us that do care about the product, we want to see them continue to win, not go up to the main roster and get used and then they get sent back down and then, we act like nothing happened. And that goes over to the same thing that happened at Wrestle Dynasty. When you guys tried to pretend like Athena didn't lose that match in that four-way match that she was in, you saw her give Willow the finisher and then that was it, and you alluded to it like Athena won that match. That's not fair. Like, to the people over in Japan and Wrestle Dynasty, you guys coming back and having revisionist history. Like, that's what it seemed like when we watch Ring of Honor and we know what happened, and we watch wrestling outside of just AEW and everything like that. And you guys didn't even promote that event, and half of your roster was there and they left with the titles. But that's a whole nother story that we'll get to. Right now we're talking ROH and the treatment of ROH and how we want it to get better. Another thing is, you guys got to get more cohesive with how you're doing these matches. You act like we can't look into the audience and see that there's different people in different clothing, or that there's a whole different audience members throughout the matches when you're showing them. Even if it's for continuity, if you're going to have continuity, then make sure that you're taking care of the product to where it makes sense, instead of mixing and matching and trying to stitch together matches. You act like we can't see it, and we do see it. We see that it's in a different venue. We see that you guys are taking matches from different weeks and putting them together any way you can just to fill out the show, because you guys want to have that little 30-minute classic in there, and then it doesn't match your storyline for the night, or you're trying to fix a storyline. No, stay cohesive with the way that you're doing it, and you film it week after week. Even if you're just trying to make sure that the crowd looks good for that night, we know when you guys got your main stars on there, you guys will shoot this stuff mad early, and then when it comes down to the people that are lower on the card and you guys are shooting probably still at midnight and it's not getting enough pop, you guys will have these guys last or in the middle. You guys will put them in the beginning. They won't get enough energy from the crowd. Like, stop mixing and matching the weeks. We can tell that it's happening, all right? Like, that's not something that y'all need to do when it comes to the roster. Like I said, we're spending our money on this and you're showing this to us week by week. This isn't like where it's coming on TNT or TBS now. At this point, everybody, all of your services are on apps now, and we have to pay to watch this stuff. So Ring of Honor, that's an extra $10 that everybody's watching on. Max is a whole nother monster, and the presentation over there has been great, but we're talking about Ring of Honor, we want you to have the same care that you do for this main AEW roster down for Ring of Honor instead of treating it like a stepchild. So please, by all means, stop stitching together matches on and mixing and matching the weeks that are there. We seen it, especially with the Arlington shows. Those Arlington shows ran so long, and then we actually had people that were there that were looking at these Arlington shows, and they were like, yo, that wasn't from that same week. They're putting these together. Oh, why is that dude in the back? Okay, wait a minute. The audience member is changing from this week to this week. So y'all gonna have to. On to the titles. Why are the titles always on the main roster versus being on Ring of Honor itself? The champions hardly show up. Chris Jericho was there because the Rock and Roll Express were there for this last episode. That's the only reason. Half of the time he's not there unless it's a pay-per-view, but you guys seem to think that Chris Jericho, the Nueve, is going to save Ring of Honor. If somebody beats Jericho for this title, well, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like Gabe Kidd or somebody you guys bring down like that you guys are trying to sign and bring in and make an immediate impact. But there's plenty of people that can make an immediate impact that we've been waiting for as Ring of Honor fans down inside of the show. Please make an attempt to get that title on somebody that's going to be there. And since we're talking about it, the Von Erichs need to come back with those trios titles, defend them. You got plenty of trios that can carry these titles. You got STP, you've got the Premier Athletes, you've got the Iron Savages. The list can go on and on and on of different people that can carry these trios titles, and we choose to keep them on people that we don't even see on TV, that we haven't seen in a couple of months since they were won. It's like they won the titles, came back once, and we haven't seen them since. I don't know if it's due to contract situations or what are you guys trying to do, but either strip the titles, bring them back, let's start over. So there's only 3 people that really show up with their titles. That's Lee Moriarty, he's there front and center all of the time. You've got Red Velvet and you've got Athena. Those are the 3 titles that you see on the show that are constantly there. The Women's World Championship, the Women's Television Champion, and the Pure Championship. Those are the only 3 titles that you see constantly. And Lee Moriarty, he's not up on the main roster out there moonlighting and taking matches on there. He's down there winning matches just like everybody else because he cares about the Ring of Honor product versus going up to the main roster and just carrying his title there and using it there. Jericho is up on the main roster. Of course, you're going to have Dustin on the main roster. Him and Sammy Guevara. They're not consistently there enough with the other titles to make sure that the product of the whole show is consistent. Either have these guys come down and wrestle on the show with the titles, or don't let them hold the titles at all. It's something that's been bothering me. Like I said, we're people that actually pay for it. We're paying to watch our titles not be there. That makes no sense as a Ring of Honor fan, that we're paying to watch a product where the titles won't be on the show. Do you know how insane that sounds or looks to us? That looks absolutely insane. All right, now listen, I might be a little fiery right now, but in all honesty, I'm telling no lies right now. And I'm pretty sure anybody that likes Ring of Honor or watches Ring of Honor week by week, or that's paying for it with their subscription and putting their money on the line, shit, the talent probably feels the same goddamn way. And I wouldn't blame them if they did. You know why? Because opportunities are being lost. They're not being used right. They're not being utilized right. And the whole product as a whole is suffering because of it. There's only a handful of people outside of our subscribers that watch Ring of Honor or listen to us watch Ring of Honor and talk about Ring of Honor that we can talk to, and that's, we really talk about it amongst ourselves. Mostly everybody else, they're not even talking about Ring of Honor. And if anything, they go to my website to make sure they can see the wins and loss columns. But sometimes I don't even feel the energy to even put up the wins and loss columns because you guys take it away for so much time showing these classic matches, which I don't post who the winners and losers are. You want to see that, then go watch whatever card they were on. I'm not putting it on the site. Only people that go on any of that stuff are the people that were actually on the show. You know what I mean? And shout out to everybody that did like it from ROH, the Gates of Agony, definitely Billy Starks, Danhausen, people like that that actually, you know what I mean, they have come over to my socials and hit that like button because they see what I'm doing. I'm trying to promote the product. I will keep promoting the product because I do like Ring of Honor. The act, like I said in the beginning, the talent have nothing to do with the way that the show is ran. They're just there to show up. They're there to wrestle. They're there to push the product, and I absolutely am going to keep supporting them because I want it to get better. This video isn't to tear it down, it's only to make the product better. So, you know what I mean? That's it. Hey, take this like we at church right now, and I'm sitting there giving y'all the gospel of what's going on with Ring of Honor. Yo, I might be crashing out right now. I didn't plan on crashing out this early on one of these episodes. I knew it was gonna come at some point. It can go for anybody, you know what I mean? It can go for any show. You know, I'm not gonna hold back on it if I feel that something ain't right. But right now, we started with Ring of Honor just because it made me feel that way yesterday. After you know, people are spending their hard-earned money just to watch the product, and then this is what we get. In closing, I would like to say thank you to all the Ring of Honor staff, which includes the performers that do come through. Definitely the commentary team, which is the best commentary team over there at the AEW umbrella. Definitely you guys do a great job. Definitely the talent that are over there that get used, that are over there trying to make sure that Ring of Honor survives. Even Brian Cage, Lance Archer, you guys come over there and do a good job. I can go on and on. There's so many different people. You guys have heard the names over there. Even Griff Garrison, who we starting to see get a push since Cope is back, and just the different guys over there that we don't get to see every week. Cousin Beef, you know what I'm saying? They started using some of these guys. The Outrunners were there for a long time before they hit that main roster and everybody fell in love with them, but the Outrunners were down there as well in ROH, and you see they've taken them and now they're hardly on Ring of Honor, you know what I mean? But that's so even JD Drake and Cousin Beef, if you can check it out, even if it's just highlights, come over to @NoDirtSheets, go over to @WrestleTati so you guys can hear about the wonderful things that are going on in Ring of Honor, even the good. You know, we're going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, but usually I try to be as diplomatic as I can on my channel, but it was just one of those days where after watching Ring of Honor, I'm fed the fuck up. So I want it to get better. It's only going to get better one day, and that's by voicing our opinion with our thoughts, so that way it does get to the right person and we can convey it to you, or we're going to do it with our dollars, and then when people start disconnecting and going back and watching it on parts unknown, if we watch it at that point, then that's when you guys will see a change in it. And we hope that, you know, the product does keep surviving and it does go on. We're not trying to do that. We want to make sure that the product survives. This is why I'm making this video. This is almost a PSA. You know what I mean? Use this as a PSA to understand what you have in front of you, and that you do have fans that do really watch and pay attention to every little thing down to the smallest thing. Like I said, this ain't the shit on you. This ain't the shit on Tony Khan. This ain't the shit on anybody. This is just so that way you guys know that, hey, this shit ain't right. Fix it. And that's just pretty much it. So again, I'm King Leo Picasso. This has been another episode of King's Court Wrestling Order. Hopefully you guys found this informative and enjoyed the crash out. Hopefully I don't have to crash out no time soon again, and hopefully I got my point across about what's going on in ROH. I thank y'all for coming through and watching, and I'll see y'all on the next episode, which should be pretty soon. Y'all have a good one, man. Peace.